Banana and Bears Rugby Pod.
Welcome everybody to episode 8 of the Banana and Bear Rugby Podcast. I'm Tom O'Mahony, and there she is. There she is. I like your pink denim jacket, by the way. I'd wear that. I've gone very. It's kind of how like it's getting. There's a very much a Western theme is back in fashion at the minute, and
yeah,
I'm liking. That's a stylish. That'd turn heads if I was wearing it now. Not saying that it doesn't look good on you, but people would probably go, man in a mustache and a pink denim jacket. Interesting.
It's crop as well, crop top. So show off your belt and your buckle.
I like that. Yeah. I need to get some more belt buckles. Anyway, we'll motor on. The drama continues. Not just on the pitch in the Six Nations, but Jesus Christ Almighty. I got a voicemail yesterday off you that it shook me to my core. You were in
Jesus. I should listen back to it. I actually felt bad today because I knew I was in foul form when I sent it. I had a shit weekend. And you know what? I had such FOMO for not being at home as well. Now, I don't want to drag down the tone of the podcast now and put people in a bad mood. But
no, this will balance nicely because we are Irish too. We need a bit of parity. We can't be all up in the air like a bunch of Americans. We need parity.
True, but I don't want people probably already have the fear, do they? Did people have a feckin' mighty weekend? Did you have a mighty weekend?
Well, the way my weekend panned out, it was a beautiful weekend. So Thursday night, I was off to Galway for the Roisin Dove, and it was beyond gorgeous. It was beautiful. The audience was amazing. I got to try out about 20 minutes of new stuff for my new show that I'm writing. So I came away buzzing, high fives all round. It was great. Chips were delicious back up the road in mighty time. Patrick's Day the following day, oh Lord, the young fella was like a lula. He was absolutely loving it. There was sweets being fired off trailers. It was great. It was just mighty all round. Then rolled on into Saturday. Now, the only thing I will say, it sounds not to sound like a negative nullug here now, but I had a gig in the beautiful Theatre Royal opening for Neil Delamere at 8 p.m. on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So I was sober Sammy to a point to the tea. And I actually went back into that pub that I was telling you about where I did that private gig that was mighty a couple of weeks ago called Catty Barry's, a whopper pub. But I had it in my head, Waterford isn't really a big rugby town. I'll find a nice quiet spot in this pub because this seems kind of like a kind of a cool pub. 'Twas rammed. And while all this sounds beautiful and people are having the crack and just great and the vibes are good, do you know when you're around a gang of people who don't know one end of a rugby ball from another? You know, as
hello, vivo en España. Fucking hell. I completely empathize.
They're shouting at stuff, and you're going, why are you kicking it? You're like, no, we really need to kick it this period. Actually, what? Shut up. And your big heads are in the way. And a lot of it, to be honest with you, was FOMO in the moment that they were lashing it up. The bar bought in a load of pizzas from a pizza joint down the road. It was going to be a whopper night. People were on, and I'm just there drinking my Heineken Zero going. So the only reason why it was negative for me is that I couldn't cut loose. But also I couldn't bitch either because I knew I had an amazing gig because it's one of the most beautiful theatres in the country lined up at 8 o'clock. But it was not in comparison to your dose. Come on, back up that miserable message you left me yesterday. It was so miserable.
God,
I had to take 24 hours to reply to because it's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
I thought that was like he has to come back to me. It's like, this is the end of the podcast. He's had enough. He's out. And I always try to be so positive about everything, but I was just...
It was a shock. I swear to God, it was a shock.
Really?
You're always buzzing.
God. I know. Well, the thing was, so to kind of echo your point on watching rugby with people who feel different about it to you, I was like, okay, I knew I had to spend all day on Saturday on the bus traveling to Madrid for a game in Madrid on Sunday. And I had thought about going to Madrid on the Friday, celebrate Paddy's Day there, and then watch it in a pub. But then I was like, oh, I really want to hear English commentary.
Yes.
And And I was like, you know what? I'll stick with the team. I'll go on the bus. I'll just watch it on the bus, headphones in, focused on the game. That's what I'll do. And I was using the world stream, and it was really jumpy for the first game. And I was like, oh my God, if this happens for the Irish game, I'm going to go mad. The second game was perfect. And the third game, Ryan Nugent was commentating and everything. And I was delighted. I was like, okay, here we go. Like, I'm delighted with this now. It stopped like every 30 seconds.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And I was going mad. And like the girls, to be fair, were so lovely. They were like, Anna, come and watch it here. And I was like, oh, just give me a minute. It's going to fix itself. It's going to fix itself. And then I missed the first try because the stream was so bad. And eventually I had to give in and go watch it with the girls, like on their Dutch stream, because it's Dutch commentators were watching it from a Dutch channel. And Adam Massa was going to say, which is a Spanish word. In addition to that, it was a shite game of rugby.
I'm delighted yes, great.
It was so crap, which I suppose, I think, coming up to, we knew England were going to come with their backs up, which I was happy for. Do you remember I said last week, I was like, hope coming in halftime now we were kind of toe and toe. I just didn't want it to be rubbish. Do you know what scares me though, is that I feel, I will talk about this in a minute, I won't advance it now, but I feel like that could be the Ireland that might turn up to the World Cup.
I'm getting lambasted left, right and centre for the last 2 days for saying the same fucking thing.
Oh God. Yeah. Okay, well look, we can wash our hands of it in a minute. So what happened was, now when we got to Madrid, the last time we went to Madrid to play a match, the coaches, when we got off the bus, had us running around the car park as a kind of loosen up the body, and we were like, no, please, we don't want to do that again. So I was like, right, I asked the coaches, like, can I do the warm-up, or not a warm-up, but like a body mobilization thing after we get there? They said, yeah, grand, no bother. So I brought out the speaker and I taught everyone the Siege of Venice, and we did the Siege of Venice there in the car park in the hotel.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, to that,
Yeah, the brilliant.
Disco version of I'll Tell Me Ma. It's actually so good. I love it so much. Right, so I was like, grand, back on track, game on Sunday. Turned up to the game, it was really warm, so it was kind of hard to like get into it because it was so hot. But anyway, started well. We scored a try straight away. Then they scored a try really quickly in response. And then what minute? 19th minute, someone fell on my leg and I burst my big toe, the joint of my big toe. I had to go for an x-ray then on to come straight off, and I went for an x-ray yesterday, and there's a few problems with it. So that was the end to my shit weekend.
So that was when because you were literally in the hospital yesterday. You were like, oh, Jesus Christ. It sounded like you were just, oh, Jesus Christ, I swear to God. Like you didn't even sound like you.
Yeah, do you know what happened is because I was in so much pain, and like they think it's there's two little bones that are like two peas. I never really knew this, even though I injured them on the other foot years ago. They're called sesamoids, and they're under your big toe joint. And they think that there's like a fracture in one of those. So but you can walk, because everyone was a bit surprised, you can walk on like the outside of your foot and not stand in it. But the more you walk on the outside of your foot, the more you create other problems with the rest of your joints, etc. So anyway, I got to the clinic. I didn't have to walk too far, but I was like, I need to sit down now. Had to go like upstairs to get the x-ray, back downstairs into the waiting room, in and out of all of the offices. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, I was in so much pain. And like, I don't know if you've ever been in crutches. I've never been in crutches in my life. You see people like flying around in crutches and you're like, they hardly need crutches. Like, they're grand. And I was like dying. And I was like, what do I do with the pain? Oh yeah, because what happened was I had to go to another clinic, which it wasn't far, but I still had to walk there. And then I had to go to the pharmacy. By the time I got to the pharmacy, they were like, this prescription is written wrong. You're going to have to go back to the clinic. I walked back to the clinic like with tears in my eyes. I was in so much pain. And he was like, oh, sorry, yeah, I must change that. And then you can go back to the pharmacy again. I was like, what do I do for the pain? And he was like, you're just going to have to stay off it. And I was looking at all these bastards in the waiting room with their crutches. And I was like, please give me crutches. And he was like, you're just going to have to stay at home to stay off your foot. I was like, what about all these other fuckers that are allowed out of their house?
What?
Yeah, that was his advice. You just don't walk on it. I was like, well, give me crutches. Because I have to go back to the fucking pharmacy again because you wrote the thing wrong. Anyway, one of the girls in the team has crutches, so now I have one crutch to take the weight off it. So now
stay at home. Don't go anywhere. So sorry, Mr. Dr. Man. How am I to feed myself? Are you going to call around the house with the dinners every day?
I know, and I'm looking for a job. So it's like, okay, so I can't look for a job anymore. The other thing is, I literally at halftime I had to go in and get my phone and text the team who was bringing me to Hong Kong and say, don't book those flights, because they were about to book flights for me to go to Hong Kong. So the trip to Hong Kong is cancelled as well. So happy Six Nations.
We couldn't get you some steroids and inject it into the foot or stem cells or something and send you to Hong Kong regardless. Could we do something?
Yeah.
Can we chop the toe off? Can we do something? Like, Jesus Christ. And you were going, so you'd been successful in securing a way of getting to Hong Kong?
Yeah, I had a team get in touch with me. They're called Tropics 7s. They got in touch with me and they were like, look, we will fly you out there and we'll pay to do that. So that was all arranged, and then some fatty fell on my leg.
Jesus. Okay, well, look, that's the parity done. We are Six Nations champions, and we're not going to do what we have done in the past, where we're going to just make you all wait. Let's be honest, nobody listening to this gives much of a bollocks. And I'd say even if there was Welsh or English people listening to this, or French, they'd go, yeah, just get to the Ireland match, for God's sake. I second what you were saying. I got very stressed. Now, two things popped into my head. Negative Norman popped in straight away and went, I'm watching this like these boys thought they just had to fucking show up. Like, did you think you had to show up? Like, people, I'm going, this is scandalous behaviour. Like, what are you doing dropping the ball? Yeah. What are you doing dropping the ball? Like, what are these loose passes? How are you letting them in through every ruck to just rip it off you like candy off a baby? Well, this is scandalous. You know what I mean? How are you not sealing off that ruck, for Christ's sake? But as it moved on, I was kind of going, maybe it's nerves. The pressure of the whole thing got to him. That's possibly, I don't know. But Jesus Christ, when you see Hugo Keenan, who's been impeccable, slicing the ball, it's like, oh no.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
That was such a moment of like, holy shit. But like, look. It's good. It's good. It's better. It's as good of to still win a Grand Slam and play a bit shit, so that they could be like, oh God, we're not happy with that. I'm kind of happier with that leading into a World Cup.
Every ball's up, though, in all fairness to him, every ball's up, they seem to kind of not go off the rails. Do you know what I mean? When they could have just, they seem to kind of have a big moment not long after it. They were
especially when, I agree. And especially when you've been playing so well for so long, if things start to unravel a bit, they could really unravel, because you're like, because you don't know what to do, because you haven't been in that position for a while, and you're kind of, who do we rely on and who are we looking to for answers here, or how do we change this? So yeah, you're right. It's a good thing that they were able to finish it out. Now, I also have to say, and this is another disappointment from it, because at least, look, if your stream is shite, you always have Twitter. And I know that people love to give out on Twitter, but my God, I could barely get through my Twitter feed without, it was just full of people saying, Jammy Ireland, enjoy your tainted slam. Yeah, red card this. How was that a red card? My timeline was full of people shitting on Ireland for having won the Grand Slam. It was sad.
Well, you see, of course, this comes from your time in England, of course, in the Prem and stuff like that. So you would have a lot of people popping up on your timeline or whatever. So I don't really have it, but in the moment I saw that red card and I was like, oh, in fairness, there was no malice in what he was trying to do, but letter of the law is the letter of the law. And yeah, okay, maybe it was a yellow, but then you're kind of going, hold on, you're a high performance athlete. Turn your body into it. Lift your elbow. Let him hit your hip. Do you know what I mean? He literally chicken winged himself up. Like, he looked like he was trying to coy away from the impact. You're like, you
Yeah.
have about 4 stone on Hugo Keenan for starters anyway, Freddie Stewart. I wouldn't stress too much. And
Yeah.
he left his elbow down, and it was sloppy. It was sloppy on his behalf. And you're at that level, you ain't allowed to be sloppy. Because I mean,
Yeah, true.
you see the boys competing in the air. I mean, that's the maddest one of all. You just have a duty of care.
Yeah.
If
Exactly.
that's it.
Exactly. You can't be sloppy. That's kind of it. And he was in the air actually, which might have made things a bit more difficult for him. But if it was a high ball, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, it's just kind of frustrating how every card has people that are downright against it and downright for it. It's just kind of frustrating that it's really brings people like a lot of frustration into the game, where you can full on argue that it's one way or that it's the other. And actually both people could be right.
In watching it back again in the cold light of day on Monday, I watched it, just that clip, and it's cut and dry. If it was the shoe was on the other foot, I'd have to hold my hand up and go, yep, it's the letter. And in fairness to old Pepper, he explained it. He went, sorry, man, you have a duty of care.
Yeah.
You left your elbow in like a chicken wing. And here's the case in point. Your man's fucking gone off with a concussion. It's not like you didn't hit him. You clocked him in the head with your elbow.
People love to hate Jaco Piper, though. Jesus, he's an unpopular man.
Was it Wales or something he met in the airport? Yeah.
Yeah, and he like did he gave a red card. Was it to France?
France,
Posed with the Welsh fans with his elbow up like that, like laughing, and everyone was raging.
To be fair, I don't care if there was 15 on the field or 13 on the field or whatever. It didn't look like England. They had one game plan, and it was working because it was working against Ireland, who were playing like a bag of shit. There's no two ways about it. Ireland had big moments with their tries and stuff like that, but they were on the attack. Their defense will always be solid. I mean, can you believe this for a stat, Anna? I'm not much of a man for stats, but they have conceded Ireland in less tries in the last 2 Six Nations than all the other teams in this Six Nations. So
Jesus,
they've conceded 4 tries in the Six Nations.
Fuck.
Yeah, and no cards.
I was just going to say, can I give you another stat which I find interesting, which is there were 3 red cards this Six Nations and 12 yellow. 2 for England, 3 for France, 5 for Italy, 2 for Scotland, 3 for Wales. Like kind of evenly divvied out, whatever. And 0 cards for Ireland. That'll help Ireland in the World Cup. If you think of referees who, like the All Blacks, and people hate the All Blacks for getting away with stuff, but it's because they kind of have a reputation. So if there's any doubt, there's this kind of unconscious bias within referees' minds, I think, where if they know it's a very good team, they won't be like, are they offside? They'll just kind of believe that they're onside.
Yeah.
So with this like record of like 0 cards, when every other team got like a kind of a small handful, that's going to help them a lot. But that's pretty amazing though. Like, fair fucks.
When you consider, like, I think a lot of it is down to, like, I suppose a lot of cards are probably given for multiple offenses, that kind of way, like hanging around the ruck for too long. And it kind of probably coincides with Ireland's really shit tackle count. But here's the thing, the game of rugby is so changing. Like, Ireland can have into the 20s now of missed tackles, yet concede shag all tries. So they seem to have this they're set up to scramble all the time. So it's like, but it's not an absolute missed tackle. I think it's weird the way it's a slow down tackle and then smash, somebody comes in and flattens them. So they could have 23 missed tackles in a game, yet concede no tries, concede no possession.
The stats don't actually reflect
how
they're playing. They also have this other thing called Hugo Keenan.
Oh, yeah.
And to be fair, Gary Ringrose as well did some like unbelievable scrambling this Six Nations as well. But you're
What I'm saying is it's kind
yeah.
of nearly let them at it a small bit. You know what I mean? They don't seem to compete at rucks much at all. It's like if we're in, we're in. Let them at it. So I think an awful lot of that is like that. That's what will keep your nose very clean. If you're going, no, we just want to play ball. We just want to play ball. What do you make like you're playing against 14? Is the best player to lose, for the want of a better phrase, is it the fullback? Yeah, okay, you sure
Mm,
shit don't want to lose. Well, may I say your hooker, but sometimes you can have a backup to that shit. But because I thought I says, all right, we'll kick on here. This is where they'll draw everybody into the upper field to leave the backfield open. But they didn't seem to do it much at all. Like they didn't. How
yeah.
did England have that covered off, or did
I,
Ireland?
I don't actually know. Um, it didn't feel like there was one less player on the pitch.
How would you like say you're Ireland? You're like, oh,
Hmm.
lovely. Freddie Stewart, possibly their most consistent player. He's gone off the
Mm,
pitch. What do you do to drag in? Because obviously it must have been the two wingers must have been hanging back. So now
yeah.
you've got
Well,
unbelievable width on the edges. Or are
um,
they how do you get them up? How do you get them
but
up?
you can't exploit the width on the edges unless you attack the middle first. So
Yes,
like
right.
if and what they do unbelievably well, like with Caelan Doris and like they're unbelievable, like back row, just smash into the middle with a good like over the gain line carry and well supported so that the ruck is ready, the ball's ready to go, and the other team is almost still moving back.
Yes, yeah.
And then they have to either pinch in because you've punched so hard that like it's taken down at least one, if not two, and maybe even a third player into that ruck and into that tackle or whatever's going on around the ruck. You have to suck in. And if you don't suck in, and if you don't cover those holes around the ruck, which Ireland are good at exploiting, you either have gaps in the middle of the field or the gap is out wide. And like
Yes.
to get at that gap out wide, these like screen passes where you're passing behind the back of a player are just like they're so effective. So I wouldn't really change anything because that's what you're trying to do anyway. You just could recognize earlier that the space is there earlier. That's why people get more tries because they can get to the edge a bit quicker
So
when there's someone off the pitch.
So I mean, kind of a big congratulations in one way has to go to England, like because as you said, they didn't look like they were down a player. Now, at the same time, now we're not shitting all over Ireland, by the way. If anybody's going, hey, everybody else has been really nice about Ireland. We love Ireland. They've
Yeah.
just been playing so exceptionally well, and yet, okay, they still managed to win, but they have so much more in them. Cleaner,
Yeah.
tidier rugby. Like I think they should have fucking filleted them at 14 men
Mm.
and then down to 13 men. I mean, that's take them to the slaughterhouse kind of stuff. Like in my book, given the talent that's in Ireland, like
Agreed, and also how shite England had been playing, but also like the occasion kind of gets to people as well.
right, yeah,
Uh,
I can appreciate that, and it's in Dublin all week long. You're going to get Nora from up the road saying there wouldn't be a ticket going, would there, and shit like that. You know what I mean? I suppose if it's
I got a
somewhere,
good few messages from people. People are always asking me for tickets. I'm like, lads, I don't get tickets. Like, I'm sorry. I got a good few messages from loads of people all throughout Six Nations looking for tickets for the English game. I was like, sorry, can't help you.
yeah. Find your corporate friend. These days, that's who's probably going to have it. Find somebody who works for
Maybe,
a big
yeah.
financial company, and that's most likely who's going to have a spare
Or
ticket.
hop the wall. Do you ever hop the wall in Thomond Park?
I haven't done, but I did when I was small. But I'd say there's no hopping the wall these days. Anyway, I wouldn't hop any fucking walls these days. I'm out. Jesus. But I definitely did when I was small.
Jesus, if it was a big like
Oh no,
Munster
100%.
versus someone and you didn't have a ticket, would you hop the wall in Thomond Park?
100%. 100% I would. I'd have the good
I,
runners
I,
on,
tr-
and I was always decent. If I could get a 10-foot run, I'd get up a 10, 12-foot wall. I was always decent for a good pedal up a wall and get the old claws onto the top. I was good like a ferret. Like a ferret, really. I was good for going up walls.
Jesus, that's fair going. You need
Yeah.
a good old launcher to get you over that wall.
I was always built like a goat, Anna. I'm built like a goat. Running up hills, running roads, I'm I swear to God, I want to run into traffic. That's how much I hate running on roads. I want to actually run out into the cars. That's how much I despise it. I swear my life.
I definitely fucking empathize with that.
Give me hills, right out bollocksy hills, and I just come into my own. I don't even get gassed out.
Yeah, I
It's
know
like
what you mean, yeah.
this goat breed kicks. I remember I did the Quest challenge. They call it down around Killarney. The cycling literally gave me a pain in my hole, but I was okay at it. The running bit, I swear in my life, it was just going, this is not worth living. This is not and then there was a kayaking bit, which is good enough crack. I was okay, but it's once we went up around the lakes, running up mountainy old boggy bits, all the real runners were all falling away. Not this bio. My old goat arse just kicked in. It was like, off we go.
Like jumping and leaping, like between things as
opposed to... it suits me down. So Leppin Walls, right up my road. I'm not sure I'm not sure if you get into the Aviva Leppin Wall. That's the only thing I'd give it a go. If there was a wall to be leapt, I would leap it.
No wall, unless there used to be one kind of the like Lansdowne Road end, but I'd say not. I remember one of my first times at Musgrave Park, like all the kids, like from the estate above, or all the kids come in that way, and they all have the same plan. They all go at the same time so that the stewards can only catch
yeah.
Like raining children, like down the other
like something out of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it was class. I don't think that happens in the Aviva. I'm not sure if it ever did. If anyone has any stories about hopping the wall in the Aviva or any.
I'd love to. I do love watching old rugby matches, and there's a great thing on BBC if you can find it at the minute. Ironically, it's on BBC, but it's about the best the battles of the tens down through the years in Ireland. It's not on RTE, but it's a great. But what's great is there's lads scoring tries, like at internationals, and there's just boys jumping with scarves around their head, giving them big hugs,
and passing them a pipe.
Passing him a pipe and just patting him on the back and then jumping back in.
I love that.
I love it. Yeah. I was just, it's not.
That's like your man. Come on, pussy. He would have done that.
Yeah. There's something raw and I know rugby like it is a big sport nowadays and you can't have that kind of carry on. But like it was so fun to watch it. Yeah, of course you could. Do you know what? Something I wanted to point out was, and I suppose it's probably a sore point, right? Literally. The physios have to be like magic people on the Ireland scene. Like to get Dan Sheehan back, to get Caelan Doris back, to play the full game. Like, I mean, in a 6-day turnaround, that was something else I was kind of thinking, could that have Jesus, it must be. I know you can get up for any match, but Jesus, a 6-day turnaround after flying in from away. They wouldn't have done shag all training either all week. Sure, they wouldn't.
No, you do need a bit of a sweat and a little bit of a run out, and you'd lift heavy-ish, but not your heaviest, but like to keep consistent. And other than that, like not really. But I agree. I kind of was looking at the pictures of I think was it Vinnie Hammond or someone like posted a picture of all the staff, and I was just looking at the physios, and I was like, Jesus, like. They've got like two physical therapists, a head physio and another physio, I think, and Jesus, they're definitely like round the clock, like pounding into the players, like needling, ice baths, Pilates, whatever, like just they're going all week. So it's brilliant for them as well, like as a management. Like, did you see that Bundyaki clip where Bundyaki's getting treated? Next thing, someone pushes Johnny Sexton and he's up and runs away from the physio. And the physio is like, go on.
How hurt are you, Bundy? Yeah.
Well, our physio in Ireland, Andy, I only met him when I was in Dublin Day last day. Jesus, like what a legend! Like we loved him so much. We still love him, but he's obviously not our physio anymore. He used to be like on the sidelines, and if you fell or if like something went wrong or you were down, he'd be like, get up, like trying to get you to get up. And then like if play stopped and you still weren't up, he'd come running over and he'd be like, okay, what's wrong, like trying to get you to like recover in your mind first to see if you were okay, and then like he'd be straight in like, okay, what's the crack.
Well, you do
He
the
was
same with a
brilliant.
horse. Like you give it a poke first, like, and if the horse is only arsing about it to get up, but if it was staying down, you're like, all right, okay.
It's funny because like you'd see someone like rolling around the ground and you'd see Andy and you'd be like, oh no, like, and you just wanted all of us to play on. That was the thing, because he didn't want any of us to be injured. But it was like, he's such a legend. Like, we love him so much. Like, going into him was like going into like an actual therapist as well. Like, people were like, oh, Andy, like going into for treatment, telling him all your worries as well. He's such a legend. But I'd say that the physios, I'd say they love the physios in there. They just seem like they've such a great connection. But you know the players so well, like when you're treating them like
Of
that.
course,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Jeez, I mean, you're literally touching parts of and grinding bits of their body that nobody else gets to do on such a physical level. But it was the end bit. I saw all the staff and the backroom staff all trotted up onto the bandstand themselves for a photograph as well. It was kind of cute. It was like we're snaking up here while the boys are out doing their lap of honor.
Fair play to them, yeah. Geez, they're dead right.
But it seemed very wholesome and giddy, and it didn't feel like the last one, like the 2019 one, where we felt like we kind of got away with it. Like, not to I suppose to surmise, we're definitely not giving out about Ireland, but we've seen them play much better. But to get that over the line, playing like they played, to get it over the line.
This whole podcast we've said, like, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happens, even we said, look, if we lost this Sunday, yeah, it'd be shit, but also doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like onwards and upwards. Like,
all
World
roads
Cup,
lead one way, to France. That's it. That's all that matters now.
Do you know one thing I was looking at there now as well is what teams? Timely reminder that only 2 of these teams can make it past the quarterfinals of this year's World Cup. All Blacks, France, Ireland, and South Africa.
I know. But I don't think we won't piss the pants like we would have in the past. We've clipped them all in very recent times. I think
it's going to be fucking brilliant. Can't wait.
Oh my Jesus Christ, it's going to be unbelievable. Like, the honorable mention to us, but before we move on, the under-20s look, Jesus Christ, they looked incredible as well. Some unbelievable athletes, but even smaller than a lot of the English lads, but they're and apparently the next crop coming through are even better again.
I know, that's what they're all saying. It's just some of those lads will play again next year. Like, some of them are very young.
It was a skill set. You're just looking at just throwing the confidence to throw, like, Jesus, some of those offloads and stuff.
Some of their offloads are just unbelievable.
So, absolutely, Jesus, I'm very, very excited for what's coming through. It seems almost like we're spoiled. And like I was listening to somebody talk about, well, geez, we're very like the All Blacks. And I was like, Irish people don't have the ability to have that level of confidence in going forward. I think we're a lot more pragmatic. But when you look at if you looked at it on paper, you're like, geez, we swept all before us. 22 wins in the last 24 games. And apparently we've gone, I don't know, we hold some cup now for going 10 on the trot. Apparently some strangely named cup. We've gone 10 on the trot.
They've enough fucking cups to keep them going now.
I know. Apparently they have the quiche from Scotland that Maggie gave him.
The plate for serving sausage rolls from the Triple Crown.
Yeah. And they have something for supping out of it. And they've this other thing now. I should have really written down what it was called, but they've another thing. It's for being out ahead unbeaten. I think it can change hands handy enough. So it's for all international teams across the board. Is the foot firing up? Is it?
Sorry, I just twisted my croc there a bit. Anyway, all good. Continue. I know. Good. I never heard that what's it called, that cup.
Yeah, it's just popped up a few times on Instagram where people go, oh, Ireland are actually kind of World Cup winners already by holding this cup currently at the minute. I know. I'll tell you what can stop is Freed from Desire. I could fucking do without that song playing night and fucking day. Like, it's Jesus.
So many people on Twitter are giving out about it. I was laughing.
I know it's a fun old song. It's about 30 years old.
I know. I know when it came out as well. It was when I was on holidays in France in 1997, I think, summer of 97. I think that's when it came out because I remember someone on the campsite singing it. So yeah. Anyway, it's funny because we were talking about last week, like what songs could you sing and
Yeah.
like so many brilliant songs you could sing. But the players seem to be enjoying it. And like one thing for me, like that really like hits me in the feels is all the kids, all the
Yeah.
players with their
Yeah.
kids on
It's very,
the
very
pitch.
cute.
Gas. Well, it's very wholesome. But I'm very envious of the men, I must say. I'm very
It,
envious of where they're at and where they've got to. I'm very envious of them.
can you imagine being Wales and looking at that, or even the Welshmen looking at going, oh, geez, you have your shit together properly from top to
Maybe,
bottom.
yeah, but also it's the same union that's in charge of the men that's in charge of the women in Ireland, and like the women in Ireland are like we're talking it now is we've got a
Exactly.
big uphill battle coming for the Women's Six Nations now, and like I just find it a bit sad that people are like full Six Nations fever now, and like the women's is on next week. So what I want to say and what I am saying anyway is like, right,
Roll
no
over.
time to waste. Roll over Six
S-
Nations. Yeah,
Yeah.
straight
Almost
into
like
it.
the Sunday session roll over into Monday. Keep going hard and
Keep
don't
going
let the foot
hard.
off the pedal. It's the perfect time. The way it's laid up and not being stuck on at the same time, it should be the perfect thing. And it's been broadcast on all our national televisions here.
Yeah, which to be
So
fair, it has been done for the last few years. It just like that's what we want. That's what we want, that visibility. But when we're like in terms of the contracted players we have and where we're at, like we're the only team to come into the Six Nations now who wasn't at the World Cup.
yeah,
And all of those teams will have been like obviously full-time at the World Cup because they're all out in New Zealand, and in the weeks and months leading into that World Cup they were all on full-time programs, like left their jobs, went into training full-time for, depending on the union and the country, different amounts of time, but like Ireland's the only one who wasn't, which is so sad and so frustrating. And like I don't know, you see on Twitter, like obviously you have a lot of female rugby community, but like 10 years ago we won the Grand Slam.
yeah. 10 years
And
ago, Grand Slam,
yeah,
and the wheels were left off
now,
the wagon since then. Like,
yeah,
very strange. Very strange. Doesn't make any sense financially. Because if you're closing it, we talked about this before. Why would you close yourself off to 50% of the population? Jesus Christ,
yeah,
like 50% of the population. Every smart company has gone, hey, hold on. I.e., we talked about Guinness. Guinness smartly was, for years, it was out Ronnie Drew, hairy fellas, drinking points and playing inside the bar. And then they went, hold on 1 second, we have 50% of the population over there drinking fucking Satzenbrow. I think we're going to make Guinness for everybody. And now all of a sudden it's, and this is a smart way to go about it. My sister talked about this and she cannot wrap her head around. She goes, look at the fight game. Look at the tennis game. It's all, well, not that the standard needs to, but the fight game will tell you everything you need to know. Katie Parr, we said this last week. I'm going over all ground.
Yeah. The frustrating.
I'm with you in the frustrations of it. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and the frustration as well is that look, like RTE and so many like TG Caher and so many journalists and everyone are like full on ready to support the women's game, but then keep having to write about difficult things. And like now England have a good few injuries. They're, it might be as good a chance as any other time to kind of pip them. It's just going to be, I don't know, like I can't tell where we're at. Like we've Wales in the opening game who've also been full-time since last year. I just don't know, and I just don't want supporters to like come across and be like, great, more Six Nations, and then be like, what the fuck is this shit? Especially when people probably have the same expectation for Ireland women as they do with Ireland men, and they probably think the same about the Welsh women as the Welsh men. So they're probably expecting Wales to be shite and Ireland to be unreal, and like that's not going to be the case, I think. And I hate saying it because I know the girls who are playing, and I know that they are unbelievable rugby players, wear their heart in their sleeve, put everything into playing for Ireland, and just the opportunity available to them is just so lacking compared to what other countries have been offered in the last few years. And when we come up against England and France, like full-time professionals the last few years, like, and there's been cricket scores against us, you're going to lose fans there who are like, oh, sure, we know what's going to happen in this game, so
Yeah, there needs to
yeah.
be. I would think there needs to be a different approach. Like one thing, my one criticism of, and this is half the reason why we started this podcast. Jesus Christ, some of the coverage and some of the punditry, you're like, fucking hell, lads. You would put. I nearly. You didn't miss much not getting it in English, to be honest with you. Holy fucking hell! I was watching, going. Oh, fucking hell.
But I was listening to the world feed, so it was Ryan Nugent.
It was, in fairness, it was it Rob and Andrew Trimble was chiming in with good nuggets, like actually real player driven nuggets. You know what I mean? He's like, look at what I'm seeing here. Mano is driving up too fast, and that should actually be something they should exploit. He's coming up like a freight train because he's been out of the game a while. Let him through. And then if gaps will form around, like, you let him up, chip over the top. Like, you know, like he was talking things that were kind of going, actually, that's a really good idea. Nobody in the pub was listening. Nobody in the pub was listening to what Andrew Trimble was saying. But it was the halftime, and knowledgeable as all they are when it comes to Rob Kearney, and you've Shane Horgan, and you meet William. You're talking about Robbie. Jesus Christ, I can't stand that man. I don't know the man, and but I can't stand that man. And then you've, what's his name, Joe Malloy. I like, lads, could anybody shake a bit of life into one? Like, Zebo was great last week. He was fucking zipping around. He was like, and he understood his insights, and he actually explained to me how Van der Merwe got stood up. It was Mac Hansen kind of just give a double pump up. And I'd literally asked the question, why is Van der Merwe in there? Oh, right, that's how. And it was, and Jamie Heaslip was great too. There's a bit of excitement. But like, lads, there'll be cold days where we lose. And for the fair weather fan that is watching that, you're like going, I can't watch these. But like, you know, when you watch New Zealand, have you watch New Zealand? Like, they're so dynamic and fun. And they're like, nah, bloody way. They're back and forth. And there's a bit of drama to what they're trying to create. I'm not saying we have to TikTok the entire thing, but it's, although the Women's Six Nations is sponsored by TikTok, I would love to see, I'd love to see a bit more imagination and creativity put into the idea of women's rugby. Like for the minor thing, I got Conor Murray in my Aldi stickers today. I got Conor Murray and Emily, Tipperary Town woman. Yes, I got
Amy Lee.
Yeah, Amy Lee. So I'm after sticking Amy Lee onto the board because I'm collecting it but I haven't stuck Murray on yet.
Oh yeah.
But it was like, yes, cool, got it. And like, why isn't there a mural of Amy Lee? Like, you know what I mean? So we all get around, like, and Tiptown only up the road, and sure nobody knows. And she's this unbelievable rocket. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know it all costs money, but I can't see how you can't see the financial outpouring on the other side of it, where you turn. Look, hopefully we're wrong, and numbers will be up, and there'll be an interest in it, given this spillover.
But there always is, and like people kind of like yearning to get behind it, and we're just so far behind at this stage that it's going to take a while. But at that stage, if you're a young girl and you're going to watch Ireland go off to play in the World Cup this year, what sport are you going to choose? Like, I know it's not always as easy as that, but sometimes it can be for some young girls. So I just frustrated, like, and look, it's been addressed and we've got a new review and all the rest. And I'm like, yeah, great, okay. Now let's see it. Now the thing about the shorts, and this is interesting because, like,
the shorts changing from white to full-time navy now.
They changed the color of the shorts to get rid of like period anxieties. Grand. But like, all of the questions for Nicola Friday at the captain's launch for the Six Nations were about the fucking shorts.
Oh my God.
You know, like,
yeah.
Okay, cool. Change the shorts. Now what? What's next? Like, it's a really simple change, very effective and whatever. But also now, I would have liked to have seen, like, why don't we just if you're going to make the women, now this is something interesting, and this is what I'd love to see, and I know it would never happen in a million years just because of where we're at, but like, what if the whole union changed the color of their shorts?
I like it. Why not?
Why didn't the men change?
Yeah.
Like, why do the women have to be singled out?
For being women, yeah, it is.
Yeah, and
I
now
get
it's
it. I
kind
get
of a
it.
reminder of, oh, women get periods, so they have to wear different shorts. Like, why didn't they just change the kit?
Yeah.
But that would never cross Canterbury's mind or RFU's mind. Never, ever, ever. Like, I have a friend who designs rugby clothes for women. She was sick of like having to wear, like, when I order my kit, I have to get large or extra large everything on the bottom, and small or extra small everything on the top.
Right.
Because that's what the men's fitting is. And we order men's size stuff.
Yeah.
Which is stupid. My friend was sick of this. She started her own company. It's called Rugette. You should check it out. Her stuff is class.
Shout out to
And
Rugette. I think they follow me on Instagram.
Oh, probably,
I think so. I think they did. Or definitely a women's rugby brand started following me on Instagram. I was like,
well, there's a good few. There's a good few like women only brands now. But Rugette is interesting because it's like rugby solely, and she has gone to clubs and said, and this is part of her kind of startup story and why she did this. She'd go to clubs and she'd say, "Would you buy Rugette to kit out your team? Would Rugette be your club kit provider?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, for the women, definitely." And she'd be like, "Well, what about for the whole club?" And they laugh at her and they're like, "How do you expect the men to wear women's stuff?" And she's like, "Well, we have been wearing men's stuff forever. So why do you find it so funny? The fact that you find it funny means that you think it's a ridiculous proposal. So why were we wearing men's kit the whole time?" So very interesting, like the stories she has, and like, yeah, it's just, I'd imagine if like the men, like in solidarity with the women, were like, "Yeah, fuck, we'll change our shorts." Well, thing is, I love the white shorts. I think they look really nice. So we'll like, whatever, it'll change like how the kit looks, but also they could have changed something in the jersey, maybe put a bit more navy into the jersey to like match the thread or something. It looks a bit like, oh fuck, we ran out of shorts. It's just gonna go navy.
Yeah. It's
so fuck it. I say well done, fair play to whoever made the decision, and onwards and upwards, but like, it's not a thing anymore now. Let's talk about actual rugby instead of, you know, all the journalists kind of clinging to something and being like, "Oh, this is great," like for the shorts for women, and like, "Oh, okay." Like, surely the men have anxieties about like shitting themselves.
Oh, I would think so. Yeah, God, I would think so. Especially forwards and stuff like that, where you're literally getting squeezed. Do you know? You know what I mean?
And like, I'll tell you now, like from experience, your toilet tendencies ramp up before playing an international game, and before like all of the stuff you have to eat. My God, like the worst thing about playing rugby for Ireland was the pre-match meal.
Why? What was typically your pre-match meal?
Oh my God, it was so hard to eat. So if, let's say you're playing at 1 o'clock, you'd get up at maybe 7, have your breakfast at 7:30, and like, I love a good kind of a big breakfast anyway. But you kind of decide to eat either a big breakfast or a big pre-match meal. Like, you can kind of choose between the two. And then when you come down for a pre-match meal at like, let's say 10:30, so you've kind of just had your breakfast. But the thing is, if you're kicking off at 1, you're not going to eat again till like 4 or 5, and you need to be fueled for the match. Like, you can't have a hunger coming on you when you're about to kick off at 1 o'clock. So you have to eat something before that. So like 11 o'clock, 10:30 or 11, you sit down for a pre-match meal. But people's tendencies at the pre-match meal are so weird and different that they have to put out a massive, like really obscure spread. Like, we were having pre-match meals when other people in the hotel were down having their breakfasts, and there'd be spaghetti, chicken, tomato sauce, rice pudding, pancakes, this real like melee of like, oh my God, and you'd be sitting and you're there chewing and you're like
full of anxiety too before the game, like, as well.
Yeah, like. Exactly. But you have to eat it, you have to force it down. And then they give you a beetroot shot.
Lovely.
And you always like when you have the beetroot shot, and then afterwards you think you've been tackled so hard you've got internal bleeding because your wee is bright red. And you also, what else do we take? Other, like, oh, it's just so uncomfortable. It was my least favorite thing about playing international rugby was the pre-match meal. It was horrendous, and like nothing against the food. The food was always brilliant. It was just that it was so, and then you have to go to the toilet like a million times before you actually play.
Yeah.
Well, when you go down to France, when you play in France, oh my God, like they'd give you, like purposefully, they'd give you the dressing rooms with one toilet.
Bastards.
And like we had like men's urinals, and the toilets in France that is just the hole in the ground.
Animals.
Oh my God, it was so hard to manage. Like,
knowing full well you'd be stressed out, like before you even go out and play.
They knew
Bastards.
well. They knew well. So I'd say the men were the same, but at least for men, like if you're kind of
if it's a wee,
it's a bit easier. But like, I wonder if any of the men, would it be fair for the men to say like, yeah, I have anxiety, especially in a scrum if you're bent over. I often found that. It was like, Jesus, my arse hanging out here, and if I like shit myself, is it very obvious?
Well, I tell you,
what did the men think that? Like, have any of them? So would it be fair for them to change the color of their shorts?
Well, for many, there's like one of my biggest fears, and it happened once. Happened more than once. I actually exposed myself. I wanted the shorts to be slightly old school longer. Yeah, because your undergarments, like, just because I played center, and it just, whatever way I used to just go ripping in, anything could rip underneath, and all and sundry could be hanging out, and you're like, and you just have to roll over on the ground and just kind of get yourself back in order. You're like, oh, for fuck's sake, I hope no.
But also, I think there should be no shame around that. Like,
there's. But when you're 14, 15, you're like, oh God,
true.
like,
you're younger. But the same about like, if you did have an accident, where you actually like soiled your shorts, there shouldn't be any shame around it, whatever. But same with getting your period. So what? Blade on your shorts, like, who cares? Like, when Doug O'Callaghan like changed his shorts because they ripped, like, could you not just replace the shorts? I don't know. Anyway, look, talk about it forever. I'm here giving out about everyone talking about the shorts, but I suppose it is an interesting kind of topic to chat about. I just kind of wish they brought a bit of navy into the jersey on the top, or the socks, to kind of tie up the whole theme of it.
I am surprised when I heard that it was coming out. I thought, oh, surely the kit is. Oh no, the kit isn't changing at all. You're just
changing.
You just got different shorts, right? Okay.
Now, Canterbury, to be fair, offered people who had white shorts to change them with Canterbury for free. So I thought that was cool.
That's cool. That is cool. Yeah. But I mean, also you kind of just, when a decision came in from up top, you have to fucking do that too, though. That kind of way, because true. While they're wholesome and all the rest of it, they're out to make money. They ain't out to lose money. But when the boss turns around and says, "Here, we're changing the show," okay, that's fine. That's fine. Everybody.
Canterbury fucked up a few years ago when they used models for their photo shoot instead of the rugby players. Do you remember that?
God's sake, I do have a vague memory of that.
A big outcry after that, and Canterbury, to be fair, were like, yes, we fucked up, we're sorry, we're committed to this, like, which is a great response, because often there's a kind of a double downing, like, no, we didn't mean this, blah, 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 like they fully kind of came out hands up. So I think this is where the change of colour shorts came from. Canterbury were like, okay, what can we do for the women's team? So fair play, like, it is kind of leading from the front a bit. And like, look, Ireland is the first team to change colour of their shorts. Let's see if anyone else wants to follow suit or what the crack is. The Sevens play with green shorts. That would have been nice.
I'll give you an interesting one. Do you know where the white short change thing came from? Do you think? Because when I heard it, it came through camogie and football. And do you have a guess who petitioned that to happen? The two Johnnies from their podcast. They pressurized the GAA from their podcast through Maura Fay, who has become a friend. Maura is their producer.
Yes.
And Maura just pointed out, because she was playing Gaelic football herself, and I'm sure camogie as well, but she was like, do you know a thing? And the lads petitioned it like hell, because they have so much pull and so much power, that GAA had to step forward and go, yeah, okay. That makes perfect sense. because nobody, like, I suppose the lawmakers and the idea people at the very top for the longest time have been men, and just it wouldn't have been a thing in their head. It's just like, how would you know about these things? You wouldn't, because it's not something that goes, hey, do you know? But it's great that it is that it is.
But you're right. If you follow female athletes, like Billie Jean King has been kind of petitioning it as well for a long time, like, because Wimbledon is obviously all white. They've changed, they've relaxed their rules on it now for the women this year for the first time ever. They have, on the undershorts.
Maybe I'm crediting the lads too far here, but the GA side of things anyway.
Definitely got her ideas from Maura and the two Johnnies.
You know what? Shout out to the to the lads. Anyway, on a very positive note, so we have, to hell with the other matches. Fair play to France for beating Wales. Fair play to Scotland for still being one of the most exciting. The most exciting 20 minutes in Scotland, I think, over the whole Six Nations.
That Van der Merwe try. He's something else. I know we talk about him every week.
He's something else. Go YouTube that if you haven't watched the match. Because at first I'm going, oh, Jesus Christ, he did actually score it. Oh my God. He fucking scored it at 90 degrees to the fucking ball. He scored it with half his body was down the road. It was down the road in the pub.
Weren't we talking about this the other week, where it's like, to go up, you have to have hit off something to go up. Well, he defies completely that logic, where he was just like floating along and then ended up higher in the air than he had been already. Ridiculous. He's a fucking legend.
Yeah.
And what? Ben Healy.
Yes, sorry. Yes. I had made a note that Ben Healy. Now, in fairness, I had to. Kinghorn scored 3 tries himself. Who looks, it's hard to push Finn out of the way, but Kinghorn looked unbelievable. But Ben Healy, Munster's own, Tipperary's own Ben Healy is now Scottish.
Yeah, we've
Ben McHealy.
Them over.
Yeah, Ben McHealy, as he's known now.
Groundskeeper Healy.
Grease me up. I'm going in.
Groundskeeper Healy.
So
running away in the kilt.
Yes, so and France beat Wales. Wales, I mean, pulled off a couple of nice moves. Didn't completely, but I think Jesus Christ Almighty. I know
that's it. Glad it's over.
Hype is hype and all the rest of it. But sometimes DuPont can just pull off things where you're going, and the whole place and the whatchamacallit are going mad. The pundits go mad every time he touches the ball, but sometimes DuPont can just swing a pass. You're like, Jesus Christ, he is very, very good at this rugby.
Do you follow Murray Kinsella?
I do, yeah.
He's brilliant. He tweeted a picture of Murray's very funny because he tries to be funny, but he tweets it very factually.
Yes,
so that nobody can really argue with him. But he was like, here's a picture of DuPont breaking a sweat. DuPont just sitting down with sweat on his brow, and Murray was like, we don't know if this is real or fake. He's just class, DuPont. I love him. But
if this Six Nations has been, and I'm putting it, as we said last week, I'm putting it completely down to the fact that we started a podcast right for this at the beginning of this Six Nations. It has been one of the most dramatic. Ireland went on to win. And I'd say a lot of it is down to the fact that we were on board. Some unbelievable stars have come up. Capuzzo, now he showed up last year. Tommy Allen scored an absolute worldie of a try for Italy at the weekend out on the wing. Duhan van den Merwe. What was it? What was he said? All hair and biceps and blonde hair.
All hair and biceps. I actually meant to say that last week. So I was listening to the World feed last week as well that Ryan Nugent was doing, and he was like, in his normal Irish accent, but he said Van der Merwe, kind of rolled his R's in a Scottish way. So he must be doing the same as us, just saying it in a Scottish way. There has been so many. So I hope that with the continuation of Banana and Bears Rugby podcast, that we can perform the same miracles for the women's team.
So you're saying where the men are going to go on because as a result of us and win the World Cup, because listen, we'll probably get sent out there by some amazing sponsor at some stage. Most likely Guinness, I'd say. We've been talking about it that much. And then next week,
or the Cork Arms.
Yeah, exactly. or
Terry Murphy's.
Derry Murphy's, or the Hill Comedy Club might have made enough money by then to just send us out there. So, but most importantly, well done to Ireland. We knew you were going to do it, but yeah,
It was great fun chatting about it every week.
Exactly. Now, rolling into next week, the 25th of March, it's the first game of the Women's Six Nations Quarterbash 2 in Cadfaelm's Park. Ireland play Wales, England play Scotland later on that day, and the following day, Italy play France. So, I mean, like you said, we don't know where we stand. Do we suck it and see and come back to it next week rather than speculating? Because we have some cracking players. It's what we can do as a team with very little time together.
No doubt. Like they'll perform well. They'll be up against it with Wales. But like there's no. If Ireland, they could definitely pull off a win against Wales. Like because I just don't know where they're at. So like let's give them all the benefit of the doubt and just say like go for it. The only reason I kind of have any doubt that they mightn't beat Wales is because Wales were at the World Cup. That's the only reason.
Okay.
Because the players are class. Like look out for Niamh Jones, the hooker. She's been playing fucking mighty stuff. Sam Monaghan, same mighty stuff. Second row. A lot of younger players that were in the wider squad, but obviously we don't know what their kind of finalised squad has been. And a lot of girls who played in that Celtic Cup competition that kind of got some extra kind of, international kind of game experience before coming into this tournament. That'll help them a lot. Maeve Ogue is brilliant in the back row. Enya Breen, surely in the centres, she's brilliant. I'm excited to see them play, and I just want to see them play well, put some stuff together. Again, kind of win or lose, let's just get out there on a good start. The England game, so Sarah Hunter is playing her last international game of rugby this weekend. She has been the England captain for the last jeepers, I actually don't know how many years. And she just announced today that this Saturday is going to be her last game for England.
It's the start of the Six Nations. She's not going to see out the Six Nations.
I think that she has an injury of some sort. I would suspect, but also another thing. It is weird that she announced that it's going to be the first game, but it's also in Newcastle. Is that where it's being played? No, sorry, not Newcastle. Hang on, where's she from?
Kingston Park. So where's Kingston Park?
God, I literally just read it a second ago. It's because I read something else about Newcastle since, so I'm no, it isn't Newcastle. Sorry, I was doubting myself there. That's where she's from. So it's already sold out. Kind of going out on her own terms in her home backyard. But a bit of a weird one. Usually when you get an announcement like that, you've kind of the whole tournament to follow them and support them. But I've a feeling she might have some kind of injury. So she obviously is just right, okay, one more. Jeez, imagine that. But she's the most capped England rugby player.
That's right. She was on a podcast a couple of months ago, I remember, and they were saying that she is the most capped England rugby player. That's phenomenal. Jesus. Unless she's just like Rocky, she's just got one left in the tank. And she's like, girls, I can't finish out another Six Nations.
Maybe.
My hips are bollocksed. My shoulders are bollocksed.
Well, it's ironic that you say Rocky because the second most capped player is a girl called Rocky Clark.
Yeah, that's right, Rocky Clark.
Which is phenomenal achievement. When you fair play to the Red Roses, the English women's team for having that many test matches.
Yeah.
Because to achieve that with Ireland is just
you want to be 72.
You'd want to be Johnny.
You want to be one of them old ones on the Guinness head that we were talking about. Do you remember the old one with the missing tooth? She was just playing till she was in her 60s.
Woman who passes on all her money to. Jesus, I'd love to be rich so that if I could just buy a league or buy a team.
Stop.
And fucking I can't wait to get rich. I just need to figure out how to do it first.
Podcast. That's what we'll do. The podcast.
Oh,
the podcast will be so big that we'll end up running our own league. There we go. And just and finalize then. Italy play France. France are
That's a big match.
always that'll be a cracking match. I like to see a bit of spice in that one, like because France are going to run it like hell. They're always you can never tell, you can never.
Jeez, they're brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah.
jeez, they're the same as the men. They're brilliant.
They're just
brilliant
they're pure fucking. We're just going to run it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
This is
they
going
could
to
have
be-
won the World Cup. They would. Oh Jesus, poor Caroline Duran. She's their kicker, and like brilliant. She missed an absolute sitter at the World Cup to put them into the World Cup final. Oh my God, I'd say they're still. She particularly now the team obviously stood by her and were like, this is never on your shoulders. Like the team was in the position, but she missed like such an easy kick to get them to the final, to play England in the final. And Jesus, they could have beaten England in the final. But anyway, not to be dwelling on stuff, but I'd say they'll come out of the traps. They've had a good kind of change up in their management and stuff. So it's exciting for France as well, actually. So, but Italy as well, have some brilliant players. Giada Franco, geez, I hope she's fit. She's a back row, a good friend of mine that played with in Harlequins, and then their captain is Silvia Tirani, who's an absolute beast. I played with her in Barbarians, and she is the nicest girl in the world. Like, when you're watching and you hear something personal about a player, and you're watching them play, and you're like, Jesus, you'd never think that about her. Like, they are the nicest girls in the world. Like, they're so lovely. Like, Sylvia is just so lovely. So you'll see her absolutely smashing people this weekend, and you're like, oh my God, apparently she's a lovely girl. She'd win a lovely girls competition, hands down.
Just smashing people is her trick at the end. She just smashed Dahi O'Shea off the stage at the Rose and Trinley Lovely Girls competition. And what you going to do for us there, Sylvia? I'll stand back there 1 second to watch this die. Brilliant. Right. Okay, class. I'm actually pumped as fuck. Now, I'm in great form. We get to roll over. We get more rugby, more international rugby. Think about that, people. There's more international rugby. Ireland are playing again next weekend. We get 5 more fucking games with Ireland playing in the Six Nations. 2:15 next week is on RT. For Irish people, it's on RT2. I don't know what else. I'm sure it's beyond the world feed somewhere. Hope you're not on a glitchy bus.
No, but I am going back to Madrid.
To look for that
too.
too.
Madrid for my sins. Yeah, geez. I'm actually going back to the same pitch because USA are playing Spain and South Africa are playing Canada, or else it's the other way around. I actually can't remember, but there's like a concurrent international series on in Spain this weekend, so I'm going to go over and see the gals.
Good, great. Jesus Christ. Yeah, and here was me thinking, I was feeling sorry for you when you were grumbling away inside in that hospital yesterday. Away,
I know.
toddling back over to Madrid to watch a
And
couple of internationals.
And do you know what happened yesterday when they told me I had to go home and stay at home? I went to the pub and I drank 3 beers.
Brazen. Right, that has been episode 8. That has been a wrap-up of the Men's Six Nations, and now a rollover, a Super Sunday session of a rollover into the Monday. That will be the Women's Six Nations kicking off Saturday the 25th at 2:15. I'll have my eyeballs strapped on because I'll be in great form, which will roll over into myself and Deirdre Kane are doing a show in my club that night. So it's going to be a shagging great day. A great day all around. Right. Ihoa. Anna?
Ihoa.
It's the Banana and Bear